Time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catalfamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome back to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we are talking Fort Verde, and our guests in studio today are Fort Verde State Historic Park Manager Sheila Stubler. She is to my right, and to her right is volunteer Mick Woodcock. Thank you both for coming on the show.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Obviously, a lot going on at the Fort Verde State Historic Park. It is Christmas time, or getting close to actual Christmas time, and there's always some great events going on around Fort Verde, which we will definitely talk about. Sheila and Mick were kind enough to come in their period clothing and bring some great visual aspects to the program here with some great things that you guys have made at the Tussy Mussy workshop, and some things that people can make at the Candlelight Tours and the Victorian Christmas as well. But I wanted to start off, I guess, with last year, 2020, obviously a bit of a strange year for everybody. How did the park do? How have you guys been recovering? You mentioned that you guys have had a little bit of an influx in clothing donations because people were, stuck at home. But I want to ask Sheila, how did the park do during COVID?
Sure. Well, we did the best we could according to what the guidelines were, and so literally we followed all the protocols, the hand sanitizer and cleaning and the social distancing, and so we did all of that. When Fort Verde Days was first held during the original 2020 when COVID hit, we had a cap of 50 people maximum, so we actually made these numbers and laminated them so that we could clean them, and we disinfected them, and so we had to make sure that we had less than 50 people in the park. Right. Of course, that was in 2020. But then this past October, we had our Fort Verde Days, and again, we just kept in line, just like what the town of Camp Verde is doing, and everybody else is doing, and following the guidelines. So we've noticed that once things did start to open up, a lot of people started coming, and a lot of people expressed their gratitude that state parks stayed open because all of the parks were open. There was a short stint, we were closed to a couple of our historic parks. Fort Verde and Jerome were closed for a couple months, but other than that, we stayed open pretty much the whole time. And we kept working too. We did a ton of projects.
No, and that's great. I want to make sure we hit this as much as possible. I know that volunteers are always needed for Fort Verde. I've got the website down as azstateparks.com/Fort Verde. Number is 928-567-3275 for more information. If you want to help volunteer or be a part of the reenacting, I know you guys do those events a lot. Another great addition that you guys have had since post-COVID is this gentleman over here, is Mick Woodcock. You are revamping the interpretive program, or starting up the interpretive program, Mick, but I want to allow you to kind of speak about that. How did that get started, and how did you get involved with Fort Verde?
Well, I'm retired from Charlotte Hall Museum, so I'm a state employee. I've been in the area for over 40 years, and initially volunteered for special events at Fort Verde, and then we at Charlotte Hall Museum, I put together their interpretive program, and because of how calendars work out, our Saturday happened to be the same Saturday that their events were, so I haven't been volunteering for, I don't know, maybe 10 years or better. But once I retired, then my first love is the frontier military. So I asked Sheila if I could volunteer.
Absolutely.
And so I'm hoping to use the expertise that I learned putting together Charlotte Hall Museum's program here at Fort Verde.
What does that interpretive program look like?
It is accurately clothed, I don't want to say costume because they're not costumes, they're period clothing, but accurately clothed people doing things that would have been done in the past, talking to visitors about what the past was like, and interpreting life back in the 1870s, 1880s here in the Verde Valley. Yeah. And so it'll take in, hopefully if we get enough volunteers, it'll take in a lot of different things, not just the military.
Again, if you do want to volunteer, azstateparks.com/Fort Verde is the website. Phone number is 928-567-3275. Speaking about those period clothings, Paul, David, and I were talking just a little bit about, where you guys obtain a lot of these period clothes. Obviously, we talked about it. You guys have a collection of the time uniforms and clothing and dresses and stuff like that. But I would assume not everybody can fit in them, and you don't necessarily want to ruin that kind of stuff because you can't go back and get another one. But I wanted to ask, and Sheila or Mick, either of you can answer, but where do you find all of the period clothing? Because you can't necessarily just wear an old button-down shirt and then say, we're in the 1800s. There's different fabrics, there's different prints, there's different material styles. So I'm curious, where do you guys find all of your period clothing?
Well, personally, Shifra is one of our volunteers, and she made this outfit.
Nice.
So I really was fortunate with that because she's made a number of outfits for us. So what we have at Fort Verde, we have what we call the Magic Room, and it's a whole collection of dresses and hats and gloves and parasols and everything. And we call it the Magic Room because you walk in one person, and when you come out, you're a whole other person by dressing in period clothing. So if people don't have their own outfits, uniforms, dresses, whichever, we do have a number of that are available, and we do check them out to people. The only thing we ask is that they bring it back dry cleaned, and they just fill out a form and they can borrow it, and that's part of why a lot of people were donating different outfits, different uniforms and dresses, because they know that what we try to do is we try to make it accessible for people so they can get involved, not have to spend a fortune to get their own outfits period correct, right? So because it does get quite expensive.
Yeah, it can get expensive.
So we have uniforms, we have dresses. A lot of people, if they're into doing the reenacting themselves already, they come with their own period correct outfits and that kind of thing. But with our new interpretive program, that's one of the things that we're going to try to do is go through what we have, what's working, what's not working, and bring it up to snuff.
We've started an inventory of things, but to answer your question about vendors, there are, I won't say a handful, but there are a number of vendors in the country that actually make or
manufacture the clothing in the similar,
and tinware and stuff like that. So there are places to get it. If you're going to be a part of the program, we'd ask you to consult us about where you ought to purchase something, because you don't want you wasting your money. Because Sheila's right, it can add up.
Yeah.
So,
well. Yeah, because I kind of thought about it a little bit more, and Mick, you mentioned it off air as well, just sort of trying to get those clothes as close to period accurate as possible. And Sheila, you're wearing something that was handmade. It looks like it could have came from the 1800s for sure. Mick, same thing. I mean, it's great to see that. Not great to see, but it seems like there's a lot of opportunity to get as close as you can. And Sheila, you had mentioned during the pandemic there were fellow reenactors who weren't participating because of COVID, that they helped donate a lot of their stuff that they were using, and it's needed more. We need more material. We need more volunteers. azstateparks.com/Fort Verde. 928-567-3275 is the phone number. It's a terrible way to segment out of this, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the Victorian Christmas and Candlelight Tours right here on Countywide. Stay with us.
Who doesn't dream of home improvements? Perhaps your kitchen, the real living room. Maybe the bathroom, where you bookend your day. Langstrand Contracting is your one-stop shop from tear down to finishing touches. With 35 years of experience, Chris and his team will work with you to match your family's style and budget. Call Langstrand Contracting today for guidance in bringing your vision to life.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Your carpet is the largest air filter in your home, trapping dust, dirt, and germs from the air that your family members breathe, even the furriest ones.
That's why it's important to keep your carpet and tile clean and hygienic with regular cleanings by Zero-Res. Zero-Res uses state-of-the-art technology and ZR water, not soap or harsh chemicals, so zero residue is left on your home surfaces.
Schedule your appointment today because a clean home is a healthy home. Visit ZeroResNorthernArizona.com.
The mouth is the gateway to the digestive system. Studies indicate a correlation between oral health and full body health. Regular cleanings and checkups can help protect you. New patients are welcome at Arizona Smile Designers in Cottonwood. There's a full smile worth of services all offered under one roof. Whitening and cosmetic to implants and smile reconstruction. Find out more or request an appointment online at azsmiledesigners.com.
Welcome back to Countywide. On today's show, we are talking about the Fort Verde State Historic Park, and I am joined to my right by the manager of the park, Sheila Stubler, and to her right is volunteer Mick Woodcock. We were talking about, just how the park had fared during COVID. They are looking for more volunteers, so if you're interested, azstateparks.com/Fort-Verde. Their phone number is 928-567-3275. We were talking about the Victorian Christmas and the Candlelight Tours.
Absolutely.
But I thought you found a great excerpt from a Camp Verde newspaper from was it 1870 something or the 1800s? And
1875.
On Christmas Eve, I thought it would be a great way to start off this first segment. If you want to read just a little bit of that.
Sure.
Sheila.
So Camp Verde, AT, Arizona Territory, December 27th, 1875, Editor Minor. The first thing on the program this morning was the horse race between companies I and E for $200 a side, distance 500 yards. Hats, boots, and even government socks were wagered on the race. And they came with a fan to wide against them for $10. I would have taken him up on my finances, but my finances were rather low. Jim Conyers, First Lieutenant Sergeant Company E, did the engineering work for companies EO and Murphy, and they were setting the capacity for Company I. They both were undoubtedly excellent riders.
Betting sick, I should have bet socks. It sounds like you could bet socks back then.
Well, you could bet anything you wanted. I don't know that government socks were all that good, but yeah, you bet what you have.
Yeah, it must have been cold, I guess. Let's talk about the Victorian Christmas and Candlelight Tours
Sure.
first and foremost. I know that you guys held the Tussie Mussy workshop. We talked a little bit about that.
Yep. Oh, sure, yeah. So there was a free workshop that was for the families, and so a number of families came out and made these ornaments. We do it every year. So typically put it on your schedule for next year so that you can come out and make your own Tussie Mussy. The Candlelight Tours, this year we had them for 3 Saturdays. So the first, second, and third Saturday. December 11th coming up is a free day. We partnered with the town of Camp Verde, so we'll be doing the Candlelight Tours at Fort Verde, and everything is like bowified with bright red velvet bows and wreaths that are handmade. We literally cut our own trees after getting a Forest Service permit, and so we make these wreaths, and so it brings the fort to a whole different life, just to see it by day and then to come see it at night by light. So
when you brought in this wreath, I had never seen a actual handmade wreath. I've only ever had plastic ones or fake ones, obviously, but this is absolutely gorgeous.
And they smell great.
They smell fantastic.
Yeah.
It looks really good. I'm sure we got a good shot of it on Verde Valley TV for those of you who might be listening on the radio, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And you say you do these every year and you gift them to other parks.
Yeah, well, what it is, it's a team effort. So we all, to help advertise the Candlelight Tours, we typically give one to the National Park Service, and the town of Camp Verde gets one. And it basically just brings it to life. It's our way of saying thank you to the community, thank you to people helping to support history and to preserve Arizona's history. It's the same thing with the town sponsoring the Candlelight Tours for the second Saturday. We want to give back to the community to say thank you for all that they do to preserve Arizona's history. And the other thing is Christmas at the time of the fort, right? Life was pretty hard for the soldiers because many of them didn't have
socks.
Well, yeah, and they didn't have their families, you know. So if you think about it, they did activities that would try to try to make them happy, right?
Well, let's talk a little bit. Mick, would you want to follow up with that?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk a little bit about, obviously you guys host the Victorian Christmas ornament and decoration that's still going on right now until January 9th. So can we talk about some of the things, or maybe some of what Christmas was like for some of these military personnel? Or we brought in some money, some old-looking money as well. Something you might have seen in the 1800s if you're trying to buy a gift or two. But if you're making your own ornaments, you might see something like a Tussie Mussy, or what else we might see?
Well, the other thing too is that, like, for example, for being an officer's wife, your outfits, your dresses, if you couldn't wear them any longer, they didn't toss them out. They repurposed everything. So anything that you could not physically wear anymore, they would use it. They would make crafts. Everything was homemade, so nothing went to waste, and that's what they did. But it also is giving from the heart because it's something that you made. So I'll let Mick speak to the soldiers.
Well, you can imagine if you're 1,000 miles from people that you know, and back in the 1870s and 1880s in the Verde Valley, the fort was essentially the center of civilization. It had the post trader's store, which was the only place you could shop. You had to either ride or drive 2 days to go to Prescott to do any other kind of shopping or any kind of activities. So people made, they made stuff. Soldiers, they'd plan weeks in advance for the Christmas dinner, and they had a thing called the company fund, which came from different sources, but they would go down to the commissary or to the post trader and buy canned peaches and things like that, so that they would have extras for their Christmas dinner. And a lot of times the mess hall would be decked out in greens. They'd send a couple of wagons out to cut the officers' Christmas trees, but then they would cut trees to use the greens, such as in this wreath. So,
right, Sheila, you brought in a photo as well. Can we talk a little bit about this photo?
Sure. This is an original photo that was taken at Fort Verde, more than likely the surgeon's quarters, and there's quite a few different people that are in here. So Eggleston, is that right? The gentleman right there.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
Lieutenant Smith, which
Lieutenant
is in the
background over there. And so literally when you do go through the fort, what I like to visualize is when you see this, you literally are walking through the same buildings 150 years later. Yeah. And you just don't find that with many different places. But you can see she's in a simple day dress, and it's probably a Sunday, I imagine, because they're all kind of
chilling out.
Yeah, the Sundays were supposedly the post trader store was closed, and it was a day off. I mean, the enlisted men, they had barracks inspection and uniform inspection, but if the inspection was good, then they usually had the rest of the day off. So,
yeah, I got some dogs as well here. That's kind of my favorite part. I love me some old
officers love dogs. They had a lot of dogs.
Yeah. Well, like we mentioned, the Candlelight Tours are going on December 11th and 18th, and also the Victorian Christmas Ornament and Decoration event is still going on until January 9th. If you are interested in either of those, again, azstateparks.com/fort-verde for more information, 928-567-3275. We've got more with Sheila Stubler and Mick Woodcock on the other side of this break. Stay with us, Countywide. We'll be right back.
Terrifying Jobs, Bull Rider, take 2. Cliff, this seems like a really terrifying job. Why do you do it?
I love protecting the bull riders when they get bucked up.
How big are these bulls?
12 to 2,200 pounds of pure muscle.
You're not cowed by any of this, obviously. Is there anything that scares you?
Yeah. Distracted drivers terrify me.
Two things we can count on every year.
A new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
The EPA says C&B Construction ranks in the top 1% nationally. C&B Construction invites you to see what energy efficiency and indoor air quality can be. We have won another Department of Energy Innovation Award, and C&B Construction is the only contractor in the country to win 6 consecutive EPA Indoor Air Plus awards. Experience our zero-energy, move-in-ready homes at Crossroads at Mingus.
C&B Construction, locally respected, nationally recognized. Find out more at C&B Homes.com.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
I want to welcome you back here to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. On today's show, we are speaking with Fort Verde State Historic Park Manager Sheila Stubler, along with volunteer Mick Woodcock. I'd like to thank you both again for coming on the show today to talk about everything going on around the Fort Verde State Historic Park. If you want more information, definitely visit their website, azstateparks.com/Fort-Verde. You can also visit their Facebook page for information. Everything we talked about will be on their Facebook page as well. The phone number is 928-567-3275. We were talking about some of the events coming up. Obviously, there are some Christmas events going on right now, but I know there's some stuff coming up at the start of 2022. Mick, you had mentioned some special events. We talk a little bit about that?
Yes, to kick off this new volunteer program, we're going to try and do a special event the third Saturday of each month where they don't have a major event. So in March, History of the Soldier, we'll do that rather than our third Saturday event. But it'll cover a variety of military topics.
Okay. Some other stuff obviously coming up next year. You have the Colonel's Daughter. We'll have Fort Verde Days again. It's got to be exciting getting to do. I mean, you guys did do, if I remember correctly, we did have Fort Verde Days this year, and we also had the Colonel's Daughter as well.
Yeah.
I got a chance to go to Fort Verde Days. I think it was, did we do it October 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one where we had less than 50 people. Yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I got a chance to be a part of that. But a lot of great things going on around Fort Verde, and I know you guys are happy to be back open full capacity again and getting the Christmas events going along with the stuff in March. Is there anything else coming up that you want anyone to know about, Sheila?
Sure. One of the things I know, we want to say thank you to the reenactors and volunteers that helped to put on the special events, because we couldn't do it without their support. You mentioned the previous years, a lot of the reenactors didn't have any place to go, and so they were really fortunate and glad, that Fort Verde was still open to do reenactments. So, but as far as the special events coming up, the calendar that's also posted on our website, and something new that we're going to try this year in March as part of the archaeological celebration. We do have a Mountain Man crew, and so I'm going to put a little plug in for them. So that will be, I believe, the third weekend in March, and they are going to do a whole Mountain Man segment. So, so we're excited to see that. That's our first time doing that. And to go ahead and to promote archaeological activities and awareness month. So
right, yeah, that's going to be kicking off in March of next year, and there's a lot of great events going on in March. Like you mentioned, the Mountain Man display and presentation. Frontier Army Medicine is going to be happening on March 12th. March 19th, we've got the Ancient Indian Technology display and presentation as well. So like we mentioned, there's a lot going on at the Fort Verde State Historic Park. And again, Sheila, thank you very much for coming on. Mick, thank you very much for coming on and bringing all these great props and coming in your period accurate clothing. I feel a little underdressed in my polo, but at least it was red, so we kept the Christmas theme.
Yes, there we go.
Again, if you want more information, azstateparks.com/Fort-Verde, their website. Again, go visit their Facebook page. All the information we talked about is going to be on their Facebook page as well, including the upcoming events. Their phone number is 928-567-3275. Again, the Candlelight Tours, December 11th and 18th from 5 to 8. I want to thank you both again for coming on.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for watching and listening, and we will talk to you again next time.